short and sweet because I'm not at home. Um, and I kind of wanted to talk to you all while this was fresh in my mind. Um, so bear with me. Here's the thing. Yes, I got her. So,
Yay!
today's title is pretty straightforward. I wanted to talk to you all about trusting yourselves enough to be wrong. And I'm speaking to the moms out here, especially people who survived maybe domestic violence, maybe you experienced coercive control in your life, or you've just been raised up in a way such that you have doubted yourself chronically. So this message is for you. Yesterday at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I could smell something that was localized to my front door of my apartment. I could smell something that was localized to the front door of my apartment. And I was really worried about it because the only other time I'd ever smelt that smell was when I was living in Massachusetts. My roommate had left to go, I guess, run an errand that took upwards of an hour. And when I came home to an apartment that smelt like gas. It hit me from the front door. I could smell it all throughout the apartment. And I knew that something was very wrong. So I went through just to make sure that nobody was inside. I went downstairs to make sure that nobody was in the apartment next to us, like the landlord apartment downstairs. And I opened all the windows. I tried my best not to make any static. Didn't turn on or off any lights. I just did what I thought would help us to have the best outcome. So I opened all the windows I could get access easily. And then I got the heck out of that apartment as fast as I could. And I called my landlord until he answered and made sure that he and his family were not inside, because that was the best thing I could think of. Oh, and obviously I turned off the stove. And when I got home from like leaving, because I was obviously upset and just needed to not be near like active or formerly active gas leak. So after I got home from my friend's house, I talked to my landlord and I basically was like, if you need to like straight up evict us, do what you got to do. Because even though it wasn't something that I'd done, I was still very concerned about the fact that it was possible, given that I was living with adults, that folks could be anywhere near the stove and not check. Was just, I don't know, a lot for me. But more than that was how unsorry the person was for doing it, which I just couldn't imagine living with that person. And I definitely couldn't imagine like sharing responsibility for anything with that person because they did not care about the effects of what they did. Or at least they didn't express it. And to be very clear, at that time, there's no better time to be actually sorry out loud than when you almost blow up a house. And they just were like, whatever, it happened. I'm like, you're an insane person. And I'm not sorry. That was an incredibly insensitive response. And like, it was actually that person's fault. Literally. So fast forward to yesterday. I smelt a smell that immediately made me think of that.
Yay.
But I was trying to put it out of my head because I went through my apartment. My stove was off. Everything that could have been like leaking gas in my apartment wasn't. And I checked all the heaters and everything seemed normal. but I couldn't get it out of my head, and it was localized to the bathroom and front door area, like I said earlier. And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, why would I be smelling this? Why would this be happening if there's nothing, right? So whether it was gas or not, I couldn't rest because I knew there was something weird. And because of my past experience, I was like, something's not right. But because I'd been taught to doubt myself so intensely, I also didn't leave the apartment right away. I didn't call someone to come check right away. I waited as if something would become clearer or things would dissipate or things would change. I didn't trust myself enough to be wrong. And I barely trusted myself enough to be right. So I went into my bathroom. I cleaned the toilet. I ran water, just to see if it was like a stinky faucet or something like that. Like, you never know. So I was like, is it the water? Does the water just stink? Is the toilet dirty? Like, what's going on? So I'm checking all of those areas, and I'm realizing that the smell's not originating from the bathroom. It's collecting in there. So I turned off the little fan that usually, bathrooms have to get the exhaust of, the smells out of the bathroom from the toilet. I turned that off, and I opened the door to the apartment, and the smell wafts in. I was like, well, that's weird, because what could be smelling out there? So, so I smell that. Sit down, I'll play row, row, row your boat. Ready? Row, row. Row. Yeah. So I check out, and I check the smell that's out there, and I notice that it's like wafting between the outside of the apartment, the hallway, and my actual apartment. So then I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't inside. This isn't my place. So there's nothing I can do to confirm or deny what's happening. So I just decided I would go clean off my car because there was a ton of snow, and I would get my head straight about it. I would go outside, I'd come back in, and I'd feel fine, right? But I went outside, and when I went through the hallway, the smell was still very strong, and I walked outside, and it was gone. So I was like, okay, well, whatever I'm smelling, it's definitely inside. It definitely reminds me of gas. I know what gas smells like because I was in a house that was a tinderbox with an explosive element. And I don't care if I'm right. I only care that I can't get this feeling out of my skin. Like, I can't get this sense out of my being. So I cleared off the car, and I went back inside to go get my daughter. And I thought about what I should put in the bag, and I was like, I don't need to bring a lot of stuff, because the truly worst case scenario is I'm very right and this whole place goes up. But that's probably not going to happen. So what can I do? So I called, so that I say it probably wasn't going to happen because I wasn't going to leave without calling anyone. So I go into the bedroom. I collect my daughter, get her dressed. I dress myself. I call the emergency number in my apartment's directory. I report what I smell. I report what I'm concerned about. I let them know that I am leaving, but that I didn't feel comfortable saying nothing, just in case I was right. And they said they'd call me back. I got to where I am now at 3:30. I'm trying to think about the timeline. I guess all of this happened around 2:30 because I got here around 3:30 in the morning. And I just sort of took it in stride and said, well, whether I'm right or wrong, here's what I know. I made that call because I was concerned. I made that call because I had prior experience. And I made that call to be sure that the things that I was experiencing weren't to the level of lethality that they were when I lived in Boston. Because if I had ignored it when I went to Boston and never checked, I could very easily be dead. I probably would be, given the people that I lived with, because one of them would have just turned on the stove, not just checked to see if it was safe some other intelligent way. So, yeah. So the reason I'm saying all of this is because when it comes down to it, we oftentimes don't give ourselves the opportunity to just not know something, to not be sure but act with the possibility of being wrong, because people expect us to have all of the answers before we make a decision. As Mother said, I feel goes especially. But as women of color, as people who are constantly doubted, it can feel like the greatest weight in the world to possibly be wrong. And here's the thing. No one called me, which should have happened, whether there was or wasn't gas. But nobody called me. So I checked in and they said that they didn't detect any gas, which is great. I wish I had known that when I called, so I could have known that I could go home. But I'm glad that I found out. I'm glad that it wasn't to a level where anyone was in danger. And I would have loved a little bit more detail, because the reason that I called, that wasn't a question. There definitely was a very strong smell, which I still don't know what it was. All I know is that they didn't detect gas, but I don't know how they checked. I don't know what they did. All I know is that whatever it was not to the level that they were concerned about. But sometimes we just have to trust ourselves and trust our gut and go with our instincts, even when we're wrong. I feel like it's a practice in just recognizing that when the margin for error is 0, we err on the side of survival. We err on the side of safety and not on the side of shrinking. Don't err on the side of being less just because you don't want to be an intrusion on other people. Am I glad that everybody was woken up at that hour? No. But I was as well. Nobody wasn't inconvenienced. Am I glad that, somebody had to come out of bed to do that? No. But that's what they get paid to do. And would I have said any of that if I wasn't 100% sure that I smelled what I smelled? No. I would not have done that if I wasn't sure. I'm not a gas detector, so I can't say what part per million in the air it was. I can't say where it was coming from. And I don't own a natural gas detector to have checked myself. But let's be clear. The only reason I feel the inclination to do that is because we're expected to do these things, to know these things before we check with somebody who's a professional, who's just going to check anyway. Motherhood is not an act of endurance. We're not supposed to soldier through and soldier on and punish ourselves for not being sure about things. But we're set up in such a way that it's so hard not to. And I just want us to be freed from that. So that's the message I wanted to bring to you all today. And if you saw that playpen, that's where I slept. So you know I'm serious about this shit, okay? It was not for the giggles, not for the you know what. I was really concerned. So my daughter and I slept right there because I'd rather us be safe and together, even if I was crowded and cramped, than to be home and find out we were in real danger. All right, I'm gonna squat so that we knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm not at home, so like I said, this is my video for today. And I will post the riding video tomorrow. So apologies for the delay, but now you know why. Did not sleep, drove at a very, very early hour, and here we are. But we made it, and we're gonna be all right. So with that, I'm just gonna do some classic squats with you all today. If you want to do some sissy squats close together, get those quadriceps, go for it. If you want to do sumo squats and get the medius, go for that. I'm gonna do some more narrow squats, and let's pop out. Let's see. Let's pop out 10 sets of 10. It'll be really simple. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And one for good measure. Whew. No matter who you are, where you are, or what's going on in your life. Woo. I hope that you are happy, healthy, hearty, and whole. That you are loved and cared for. That you let someone take care of you. And that you do the same for yourself. It's the best thing that we can do for ourselves and the people we love and the people who love us. You deserve it all. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me and for doing some squats. And I will see you real soon in the next one. But for now, I love you. Bye.